W7 Live. Don't call it a comeback. We never left. 17 down, 18 down, 1 to go. And joining us on the Jolly Good Hotline, it's our good friend, the head coach, Notre Dame Academy, Scott HERMES. Coach, welcome and thanks for joining.
Yep, great to be here.
Well, Coach, it doesn't look like softball season when I poked my head out this morning, but it's Wisconsin, so you know how it goes. I mean, it's always kind of this way. How are you guys making do with the weather change today?
We had to move everything into the gym. We don't really have the luxury of having a turf field or anything like that, or any type of structure that keeps us protected. But at least our first couple of games this season, I could be at UWGB. We'll be on the turf field there. They're nice enough to let us use it. And first couple of home games, and we're going to play in the dome at UW Oshkosh next Thursday. Our first two games will be against Oshkosh West, a Division I semifinalist last year.
Yes.
And West Appear. So we're looking forward to that. The girls are really excited. We'll be ready to go. I mean, they really want to start playing. We're getting cabin fever.
I'm sure. So let's talk about last year. First of all, 12-16, 7-11 in the Fox River Classic. Good for 7th place. Big wins, Bayport, Chilton. And really the biggest one that stands out to me is the regional semifinal win over Little Chute. You guys lost to a really tough Freedom team in the regional finals. And what's really exciting is when I see, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when I see 2023 graduates, I see none. Is that correct?
None. We had 0 seniors last year. The one senior we had last year, she was a pitcher. She opted to go to track. She had a track scholarship to Elon College. So we were missing that. She was kind of the X factor. At least maybe that could have been the difference with a few more wins. We had 2 freshman pitchers last year. They stepped up. Addison Simpson, who ended up being honorable mention all conference, and Emma Syak, who really grew last year as a freshman pitcher, but she had a rough injury, I think from volleyball. So she had some surgery on her foot, and she's recuperating from that, but she should be ready to go within a couple weeks here. So we're hoping for good things for them. Again, last year we started 5 freshmen. So out of that, we're starting 5 freshmen. We're not freshmen anymore. Now these girls basically they should be playing like juniors and seniors. We're up in the ante. We're making them work to get up to that level, and I think we're going to be very competitive this year. We had a really hard schedule. We have we play 21 Division I teams. Being a D2 team, it's going to be bonus well as we go into the playoffs and stuff like that at the end of the year.
Looking at last year, and again, I mean, you can talk about records and everything else, but what really stood out for me is a really big step forward from a development, from a program standpoint. Can you talk about that as far as what you saw just in the advancement of the program itself in 2023?
Yeah. It was the freshmen. They came in. They were real. I mean, we had a good freshman class come in last year. We had nine young ladies come in. Most of them were. And we started a futures program, so they kind of started, and we were teaching the fundamentals that the expectations that we wanted them to have. But they walked in not fearing the competitiveness. They walked in and they were able to compete right away. So that was huge. Obviously Kaya Waldrop, I mean, she had her experience with basketball and state basketball playoffs. She was playing in them last year. So she's fearing nothing. And then we had great leadership from our junior class last year. Clarissa Peters, she really led us. That kid, she's all conference every year. She broke actually halfway that 12-16 record halfway through the year. We were above 500, and then she broke her finger, and that she was out until the playoffs until we played Freedom. Actually, she came back against Freedom. So that leadership, she was still leading us from the bench. She did a great job there. And then we had, Emma Yonner, she stepped up hitting, Addison Simpson. We had 5 freshmen hitting in the top, 4 freshmen hitting our top 5 positions last year. So,
what's interesting to me, Coach, when I look at your squad, and I'd love to get your take on this, but the kid with the biggest ceiling that I don't think we've even seen yet where she's going to be is Emma Yonner. I think there's so
Yeah,
much upside with that kid. First of all, she's a tremendous athlete, but I mean, she's a really, really nice player. And I think this could be a big step up year for Emma.
yeah. Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, she went on. Yeah, she's definitely put in the work. Okay, sometimes we got to rein her in because she's excited. She's an excitable person. She
She
really
is.
likes. She loves the game, and she works hard. Um, Great. I've coached club ball and softball for a long time. It's hard to find kids that put the bat on the ball as consistently as she has. Going, just like squaring up with the ball, squaring up with pitches. She's a big RBI person. Hits the ball hard, and then Clarissa at the top and her bat in second was a great 1-2 punch last year. And then we had Kaya cleaning up with Addison
Yeah.
Simpson. Addison Simpson was a great contact hitter too, and those three of those four were freshmen. So so that's it makes coaching a lot easier. Now we just got to get the pitching. We got to up the ante. Our pitching's got to get better. I mean, we keep working at that. Katie Vandenberg's doing a good job. It's her second year with us. She's really working well with the girls and really honing in on hitting their spots and stuff like that. We don't have anybody with a lot of speed, but we have to mix it up and we have to be smart about it and pitch the location.
And just getting to know a lot of these kids through basketball and volleyball and just being kind of involved in Notre Dame athletics, what really stands out to me is, I mean, you have a lot of kids that really love to compete. I mean, the Gelb sisters would be a great example. Megan and Ella, they're outstanding golfers, as you know. But just they're the kind of kids that, I mentioned this to a previous coach, and she said this was exactly right. They hate to lose more than they like to win, and I mean, you love having kids like that on your squad.
Yeah, they're great leaders, and they show the younger. That's what helped our freshmen last year. Just that leadership that they showed. Bringing them in, they raised the expectations for them. They come in not expecting to lose, and like I said, the golf is hard. That's such a mental game.
Yeah.
The mentality of every shot being able to make you get yourself in trouble, you got to get out, and those girls are able to wash away mistakes, play to the next play. Great leaders too. They keep everybody. The energy on this team is amazing. The kids at this school at Notre Dame Academy are phenomenal kids. I would never. This is like I was so in shock when the club level coming here and my first really job with coaching at a high school level. I'm just impressed. Thank you, coach. Everything's thank you. They respect me.
Yeah, they're good kids. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
So,
good kids, and I think they're so hungry to win, right?
yeah.
To me, I mean that success in basketball drives a lot of things, right? It drives these kids to say, I want some of that. How do we get what they have?
Exactly. I'm so impressed with Sarah. Sarah Rhodey, the head basketball coach. She's the one that she's basically setting the table, the bar high, and that's what the expectations here at this school are. And you know what? I wouldn't want them any other way. And
Right.
that's exactly the way I got to coach to that. It was hard. I'd be lying if I didn't say it wasn't hard when I came in here. My expectations, I coached a lot of kids at the high club level that went on to major colleges. My expectations were up here. I had to do some self-assessment, dial it back in, and make sure that hey, these are young ladies that are just learning the game. And I wasn't handed some kids with a great skill set to begin with
Right.
at first. So I had to really step back and life lessons, even for coach, I had to get taught a lot of stuff just through that. So
Well, and especially with girls, and this, right? I mean, you've really got to, you've got to take care on how you coach them, right? I mean, it's not like when you and I were kids. I mean, you get in the locker room and get screamed at for half an hour. I mean, those days
Right,
are over,
exactly.
thankfully.
Yep.
But especially with girls, I mean, they really require a level of care that I think it's always got to be kept in mind. But when you unlock that, I mean, and they
Yeah.
feel confident and that trust, I mean, the sky's the limit, which is the great
Yeah.
part of it.
The growth in women's sports is phenomenal. These kids are, I mean, it's unbelievable. The girls, the best part about coaching girls, I've coached boys and girls. Best part about coaching girls is they want to get better. They trust you. They want to get better.
Yes.
They respect you. And the thing is young ladies have to feel good to play good, and you better create an environment where the girls are happy and they enjoy it, and that's what leads to them getting better. Then they just keep getting better, and that's what you see. I mean, you see it in major college basketball, with the Caitlin Clarks of the world and all that. They're just pushing everything. It's only going to get the growth is phenomenal. That's just unbelievable. So I'm glad to be part of it. I'm thoroughly enjoying it in the later stages of my life here. I love
Same.
it. I love being here and doing it. So it's
Yeah,
awesome.
a friend of mine, she graduated from Wauwatosa East probably 4 years ago. I think she said it best. She said, boys have to win to have fun, and girls have to have fun to win. And
Exactly.
I mean, to me, that really rings true. And what's the next step in this development, coach, in the program for you?
Well, our next step is, we're expecting to get to state. I mean, it's one of these, if this isn't the year, for sure by next year, that it's gonna break through. We got to get the pitching up to the level. I've had some clinics with a young, an older gentleman. I used to coach some of my club pitchers. He comes down and runs some clinics in the summertime and stuff like that. So he will, he's gave him some good basis, and then I have to take it up the ante. We got to get our pitching up to the level. I think our 8 position players. I got 15 kids that can play now. When I came in here, we had 5 kids that could play the game. That was it. And we had, Clarissa's older sister was a great player here, but she was one of the few. I felt bad for her because we're trying to get those kids up to that level. You got to
Yeah.
be frustrating. And now it's like they're pushing each other. So it's just constantly, they're pushing each other. I'm gonna have a hard time figuring out, my starting positions where everyone's gonna play. Everyone's got certain skill sets for certain things, and they're, by upping the ante, getting all these girls playing at a high level, it's actually they're getting better, just through that. So I'm blessed, with some nice talented athletes here. And I'm getting a lot of the kids that play basketball. A lot of those kids never showed up for softball. I'm getting a few of those kids now, and those
Well,
kids that are multi-sport athletes are phenomenal.
Well,
Just
I'll
the
tell you.
mental
I mean,
aspect.
Kaya Waldrop's one of the most amazing athletes I've ever seen at the high school level, and what she's
Yeah.
doing, not just in basketball but in softball as well. I mean, it's really amazing to watch her compete the way she does.
Yep.
And I'm looking for a monster year out of her this year. Of course,
She,
the thing is, you guys are going to there'll be no surprises this year. The people are going to see you coming this year.
right. Exactly. Yeah. So, that just makes us, we have to be, being able to, compete. I mean, we're just going to have to step it up. We know we're going to have to up the ante every day in practice. We're trying to up the level, up the level of competition. And that's all we can do. And the bottom line is, once we get a few wins, they got to get success in the playoff level. We want to be, keep building until we get to the end of the year. And then we're going to be ready. We'll be ready because we have a schedule that's going to be, tough. And so, that's why, that's why we're playing in Oshkosh West earlier, and all that stuff. They never ventured out. The last coach, the coaches here before, they always, they kept the schedule a little bit more. I don't know if it's just not as competitive,
Right.
but we want to play the best. You got to play the best to be the best. That's the only way you can do it. And that's the way life is. And if you want to compete, and these kids here want to compete, they're not going to be afraid of anything. And that's a fact. So even if our pitching isn't at the level of most of them, because in our conference, we have probably, I'm going to say 5 to 7 that are going to be Division I pitchers at some point with the varying degrees in our conference. When we face that, okay, we can, as long if we can win some of those games that, and be competitive, we can beat anyone in the state. So,
Well, I was really impressed with what I saw from Addie last year as a freshman,
yep.
stepping up the way she did, and certainly we expect to see some growth even from that this year. I talked to her at the sectional finals when we were over in Wausau, and I know she's excited
Nice.
to get going. So, Coach, and then of course, I know Clarissa. We interviewed Clarissa last year during one of the games, and just to hear the way she talks and just the way she kind of carries herself. I mean, that's a great leader to have.
Yeah. Heck yeah, I've been coaching a long time. She's probably the greatest leader that I've ever coached. So, and I've been coaching
You've been
25 years in softball. So, I mean, she does all the dirty work stuff that you don't see outside the box. That and she's the one that'll put the balls on the tee for the freshmen. And just working with the freshmen, making them feel part of the team.
We
So,
talked about that with Watertown too, Coach. So they have a kid, Abby Walsh. She graduated last year, and Matt Miracle told me the same thing. He said, "You know what? You'd never see anything she does show up on a stat line. You'd never say you couldn't quantify how many games did she win." but we were way better when she was there than when she wasn't.
Yeah, the absolute great thing about Clarissa is she does all that, and plus she's at the top of the stat line. So it's like great. We get we get everything. You get everything in one package. So that's a great deal. Great kid to coach. I've been blessed again. I mean, that's awesome. It's nice. It's easy to coach great athletes and great kids that want to be good and want to be a great teammate. So
yeah, definitely. And my point being, leadership comes in a lot of different ways, and it's but I mean, it's kind of one of those things, it when you see it, and it's great to have that. Well, hey, Coach, I want to thank you for joining us and taking a few minutes out of your time. And Clarissa, thanks for taking care of the tech for us. Good luck. I will tell you, Coach, this won't be a mystery or surprise to anybody. There'll be a ton of Notre Dame softball on W7 again this spring. We're excited to come out and see you and the girls and Tammy and everybody else. So, stay warm, keep playing hard, keep practicing hard, girls, and we'll see you all soon. Coach, thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Yep, we appreciate you. Thank you, Gary.
Scott Hermes, the head coach for Notre Dame Academy. That does it for W7 Softball Media Day. Join us Sunday night, 8 o'clock for the schedule reveal show. Until then, I'm